22 minutes into every single half of every single World Cup match this summer, the referee blows the whistle for no reason at all. No injury, no foul. Sometimes not even any heat. This happened in stadiums with the roof closed and the air conditioning on, and FIFA just admitted weeks after introducing it that they might scrap the whole thing. So what's actually going on with this rule? Is it really about keeping players safe? Or is there something else going on underneath it? Let's dig in. Here's exactly how it works. This is the very first World Cup to require hydration breaks in every match. 3 minutes, roughly 22 minutes, into each half, at the next natural stoppage after that point. And critically, it applies to every single game. Hot outdoor stadium, cool evening kickoff, even fully enclosed stadiums with the roof shut and climate control running. Doesn't matter, the break happens anyway. FIFA's official reasoning announced back in December was straightforward: player welfare. The tournament's chief tournament officer said the goal was consistency. Every team, every match, the exact same conditions regardless of weather. And there's real medical grounding behind that instinct. Extreme heat and humidity can cause something called exertional heat illness, where the body's core temperature climbs dangerously and puts real strain on the heart and nervous system. That's a genuine risk, not a manufactured one. So, if the medical reasoning is real, why has this become one of the most talked about controversies of the entire tournament? A few real reasons. First, it disrupts the actual rhythm of the game. Soccer's appeal for a lot of fans is its continuous, uninterrupted flow, especially compared to sports built around frequent stoppages. Forcing a mandatory pause every match, regardless of need, breaks that rhythm on principle for a lot of viewers, even in matches where nobody was struggling with heat at all. Second, and probably the sharper criticism, coaches get a genuine tactical advantage from a scheduled mid-half pause. It's effectively a mini timeout, letting a coach reset a losing team's shape or interrupt a winning team's momentum, in a sport that historically has almost no in-game coaching windows at all. Critics argue this fundamentally changes strategy in a way the sport wasn't designed around. And third, the money question. These 3-minute windows create hundreds of new advertising slots across the tournament, and some fans and analysts have openly questioned whether player safety is the real primary motive or whether it's a welfare-shaped justification for a genuinely lucrative commercial opportunity. Quick pause before we get into whether the data actually backs FIFA up, because I want to hear from you. If you like it when a welfare rule gets held to an actual evidence standard instead of just taken at face value, hit subscribe and drop a comment with a topic or a random question you've been sitting on. A lot of these episodes start exactly that way. Okay, let's look at what FIFA's own numbers actually show. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because FIFA's own numbers are more complicated than a clean, "the rule worked" headline. FIFA reported that medical interventions during matches dropped from 2.3 per match in the 2022 World Cup down to 1.6 this tournament, a real measurable decrease. But here's the honest complication. FIFA's own chief of football development was directly asked whether there's data showing the rule specifically improved player ability or game flow, and his answer was simply no. He acknowledged they haven't reached a conclusion yet, and that a full review would happen after the tournament ends. So the medical intervention drop is real, but it doesn't actually prove the hydration breaks caused it on their own. Correlation isn't automatically causation, and even FIFA's own leadership stopped short of claiming that connection directly. It's a genuinely honest, unresolved piece of the story, not a slam dunk in either direction. And that brings us to the actual headline here. FIFA has openly admitted they haven't decided whether to keep this rule at all beyond this World Cup. Their own football development chief acknowledged fans in some matches, especially in covered, climate-controlled stadiums, were genuinely unhappy watching a mandatory pause happen in conditions that clearly didn't need it. That's a genuinely rare admission. A governing body introducing a headline global policy, then acknowledging weeks later in public that it might not survive its very first tournament. Whatever the real mix of motives behind the original decision, FIFA's own uncertainty here is the clearest signal that this wasn't as settled a call as it looked in December. So, to bring it together, FIFA's hydration break rule is genuinely rooted in a real medical concern about heat stress, and there's a real measurable drop in medical interventions this tournament to point to. But it's also disrupted the game's natural rhythm, handed coaches an unusual tactical tool, opened the door to real questions about commercial motives, and even FIFA's own leadership admits they don't have solid proof it worked the way they hoped. Right now, it's sitting in a genuinely undecided place, which is honestly the most accurate answer this story has. That's this week's random question, answered. And it's a good reminder that even the biggest governing bodies on the planet sometimes make the call before they actually have the receipts. If a rule you watched play out this tournament ever made you go, wait, is this really about what they say it's about? That's exactly what this channel's for. I'll see you in the next one.